It's 3:30. Well, it's 3:45. I'm a little bit late today, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. I'm a little bit late, but we're shooting for 3:30 p.m. Eastern time for Nintendo News Daily, where we're going to cover a handful of news topics. There's only a few. And then we're going to look at a topic or two. And today's kind of going to be two. We're going to briefly talk about one and then get into another one, which I think is going to be kind of fun. As you can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about the top 10 games of 2024. But of course, we're going to preface that with how does this affect Nintendo for 2025? And I'm going to ask the question to the live chat, how many of these games do you want to see on Switch 2? Are you even buying a Switch 2 to play some of these games? And so we're going to get into it that way. And if you're not able to listen live, don't worry. Whether you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, leave your comments below. I want to hear from everybody. And with that, let's hit the intro. So we're going to jump right into the news, and based on some recent comments, I know there are plenty of physical game collectors out there, so you'll like this one. Power Rangers Rita's Rewind lands Mighty Physical Edition later this year, and pre-orders are open now. So Digital Eclipse put out on Blue Sky. You wanted it, you got it. Rita's Rewind physical copies are coming for Switch and PS5 on May 30th, 2025. Pre-orders for the standard and deluxe editions start today. Secure yours at, and they've got the link there, or your retailer of choice. So these are going to hit retail as well, which is pretty exciting. So it's looking like there's some like a steelbook from what I'm seeing here, like with the kind of very Green Ranger themed, which is pretty cool. And then you've got some cards. It looks like a poster as well. And so, you know, if this is your thing, if you're into physical, this beat 'em up is really got my attention. I need to pick it up. Honestly, I may wait and just grab the physical since I haven't picked this one up yet. I believe this one was on the show floor or at an indie booth at PAX. So one way I think I remember seeing this one. It looks fantastic, and these the resurgence of beat 'em ups makes me very happy. So Cryptic says, I don't have nostalgia for Power Rangers beat 'em ups as much as TMNT, but this physical copy is cool. Yes, and so I do see a handful of people are here. I am Jexy. My favorite question of every stream: when are we playing Mario Kart? That is literally my favorite question of every stream. Later tonight, 6 p.m. is when we will do Mario Kart, 6 p.m. Eastern. So on TikTok and YouTube. I see Jenna and Cece, and there's a few other people lurking. Welcome on in, everybody. So glad you guys are here. And so, yeah, like I was saying though, this resurgence of beat 'em ups, so good. And I love the fact that we are going beyond, like they're doing online with these things. They're going beyond just the 4 players. They're allowing, you know, sometimes up to 6 players. The Shredder's Revenge, guys, if you haven't picked that up and you just want to change a pace or maybe something to play, if you got kids or roommates or anything like that, such a fantastic playthrough. And this one looks no different. Like, just looks absolutely fantastic. So again, physical collectors, the steelbook looks just gorgeous. So really cool. I don't know if anybody is playing No Man's Sky on their Switch, but No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2 update adds new solar systems, biomes, terrains, and more. So if that's if you're jumping into the world of No Man's Sky, looks like this update is pretty good. We're going to take a look at the article here from Nintendo Life, and it says, when No Man's Sky first launched back in 2016, we never would have thought that we'd be getting this level of support 9 years on, but here we are. Hello Games has today announced the first update of 2025 Worlds Part 2, and it looks like it's big. This is a follow-up to last year's Worlds Part 1. Who would have thought it? Once again, focusing on adding an extra level of polish to the already extremely polished space adventure. Studio founder Sean Murray stated that this update allows us to push the boundaries of our engine with new technology. Manifesting in billions of new solar systems and trillions of new planets. These additions will also be treated to new biomes, terrains, making every locale feel distinct and full of exploring potential. So, there's more to do there within No Man's Sky. And this game has such a history, right? Because when it first got announced, things did not go, or when it first released, things did not go so well for it. But obviously, 9 years later, it seems to be somewhat of a beloved series. I've never jumped in, and I know people talked about like Starlink and how you could like leave the planet and then get into space, and I think there's similar things happening in No Man's Sky if I remember correctly. And I remember the big talk when it first came out. It's like, you're going to explore planets that nobody else will explore. And then like 2 days into the game, somebody was like, yo, I just found where somebody else was at. And it was like, so just a funny and somewhat of a rough start for No Man's Sky. But, like Cryptic saying here, never played this game. Glad to see it is still supported and has had a second life. Cough, cough. Nintendo, take notes on take notes, LOL. AC waiting. Yes, absolutely. Yo, I see Rami is here. What's going on? Good to see you, my friend. Long time. So good to see you. Well, there you go. So update for No Man's Sky. If you're into cozy games, this might pique your interest. Harvest Moon's new Cozy Switch bundle revives 2 3DS titles coming this summer. Natsumi has announced it is releasing a cozy bundle for the Nintendo Switch featuring the 3DS titles Harvest Moon Lost Valley and Harvest Moon Skytree Village. This 2-in-1 release will launch in summer of 2025. Both games included on a single cartridge. Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley originally arrived on 3DS in 2014, and Skytree Village followed this up in 2016, with both games optimized for the current generation console, according to the company's president and CEO, Hiro Makawa. Funny story, you guys. So, first up, if you're into cozy games, Harvest Moon games started off fantastic. You've got some on your Nintendo Switch Online. I know those ones are top notch. I believe Super Nintendo and 64 are available in NSO. I don't know how well received these two were. I know it was like Harvest Moon was kind of up and down, but CEO Hiro Makawa. This will be real quick. I won't take too much time on it. But at E3, I went to meet with Natsumi, right? And somebody working the booth was like, "Oh, you're here for a meeting?" Puts me in a room with I don't know if it's the same. It was I think it was the CEO. I don't know if it's the same person. Right? I don't know if it's the same person. But literally, here I am, Nintendo content creator, podcaster. This guy's in the full suit. I'm in there with like probably my hat on backwards or maybe a faux hawk, right? And he's like, "What do you do?" Barely speaks English, right? So we could barely even communicate. Somebody comes flying through the door and they're like, "You're not supposed to be here." I'm like, "I kind of figured this was not the meeting I thought I was going to." And so they quickly got me out of there. And we all kind of had a good laugh. Like nobody, I don't think any heads were rolling or anything, but it was quite comical that here I am, like just podcast guy chatting with the CEO, and they're like, "You're in the wrong place, buddy." And the person that put me there, they had no idea. So just kind of a funny story. But I do see a few questions about Harvest Moon. Do they play like Animal Crossing or more like Stardew? So Stardew is fully inspired by Harvest Moon. So early Harvest Moon games are what inspired the developer for Stardew to create Stardew. And the original creator of Harvest Moon actually met with the developer for Stardew and was like, "This is so impressive," right? So if you are a fan of Stardew, it's you got more farming elements. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are elements of Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon as well. But if you are a Stardew fan, Harvest Moon, especially early Harvest Moons, are gonna be your vibe. And I would say if you've got NSO, try them out. The Super Nintendo, the 64, those are, from my understanding, both beloved games in the series. So Cryptic says, "Josh breaking stories, legal or illegal, like Lois Lane." That's me. That is me. So, yeah, this is this has the potential to be pretty solid. And like, there were some things that happened, like Harvest Moon. The first developer of Harvest Moon, from my understanding, ended up like moving away from the series. And then I think he worked on some other things that were similar to Harvest Moon. So there's kind of some history there. The once he left, the games kind of changed. They weren't liked as much. And then I know they've always been working to get them back to being where they were. So, but again, if you're looking for something cozy and you're a fan of Stardew, definitely check out the ones on NSO. And I would do a little bit of research on these two just to make sure it's worth your money. Next up, PlayStation is bringing MLB The Show 25 to Nintendo Switch this March. And it's just continuing the trend. Sony's PlayStation team in San Diego studio has today announced MLB The Show 25 will be arriving for Nintendo Switch on the 18th of March, 2025. So what's funny is this is a game that I would play with my father quite a bit. We would just do home run derbies. We both, like, it was very easy for him to pick up, play, do home run derbies. I played it. I own the first show that came out on Switch. We played that. But then, since it's always been on Game Pass, I started bringing my Xbox along, and he's like, "Yeah, can we not do it on the Switch anymore?" Like, he basically requested not to play it on the Switch. That being said, if it were me, and especially since this is coming out in March before the Switch Direct, I would hold off. If your only option to play the show is on the Switch and you are planning on getting the Switch 2, we don't know what upgrade paths are going to look like yet, right? And so I would say just hold off, because if a Switch 2 version comes out, that's not going to be coming out in March. If a lot of I've been seeing a lot of creators talk about this, they kind of think there's Nintendo has everybody under NDA until after April 2nd. So we won't even see the Switch 2 logo on any of these games. And so because of that, like, I would say this is one that, like, if you don't want to waste $60, I mean, it's not that it's a waste, but like, we don't know how upgrade paths are going to work, right? And this is a PlayStation game, so we know how some of their upgrade paths work, and they're not always fantastic. So I would just say, if your Switch is the only option for the show, unless you're like completely like desperate, I would wait a little bit. That's all. That's my 2 cents on it. If you got an Xbox or something, play it on Game Pass and then wait to pick it up on Switch too if you want to. Unless you're like Johnny Bo and you're making it for the memes for TikTok, then I get it. Go with the Clay Fighter version of the show. Cryptic says, hopefully Switch 2 brings better upgrades for this game because it is a really great series. It absolutely is. It's still very playable, but when you compare, when my dad saw what it looked like on a Series X, even playing on cloud, he was like, yeah, this is I want to play this version, so just throwing that out there. So Jaxie says, I'm surprised they still haven't put Yakuza on Switch. Didn't they put I feel like we saw Yakuza. I could be mistaken, but maybe somebody in chat can pull that up, but I feel like that happened. I feel like that happened. So we can look it up a little bit later if nobody checks, but I thought they, unless I'm thinking that they came to Xbox, but I thought they ended up making their way to Switch. Yeah, Jenna said they did. So yeah, so it is on Switch. If that, I think they have a few of them. Yeah, I can't remember exactly which ones, but I'm like, I feel like I remember seeing. Wasn't it the end of one of the directs, and we were like, well, okay. Like some people were excited about it for sure. Like it just wasn't something that really caught my interest, is all. But I mean, I'm glad. As always, I'm glad those kind of games are there. So moving on in the news here, Final Fantasy. This is our last news story, and then we're going to get into like a mini topic and then kind of the main topic. And chat, I'm really going to need your help on this one. And again, if you're listening after the fact, leave your comments because your voice matters. So even if you don't agree with me, that's okay. Like that means we can still be friends. We just have a little bit more to discuss, Final Fantasy creators, next script is already done. Update, he's apparently working on part 2 of his farewell note. Okay, so we're just going to jump right to the quote here. And it says, I'm currently working on a new project with the same team that worked on Fantasian Neo Dimension. It's generally going to follow a similar style to my previous works, and it will be something that can be a successor to Final Fantasy VI in a good way. Our goal is to create something old but new at the same time. It will be part 2 of my farewell note. So assuming, I'm assuming that means like, this might be his last run with the with the series. But I know these are all, very, like, everybody loves Final Fantasy, right? That's into it. It's one of those games that early on, when I like on the NES, I was like, this is a lot of reading and not a lot of action. Now, like one of the things that happened a few years ago at PAX, like Square brought me in, kind of like some VIP treatment for Final Fantasy VII remake. And I was honestly shocked that they did this, but they were super, super cool. And that game, as I'm now playing like games like Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and working my way through that, and I've played through 2, and I want to get into Torna, and I want to get back into 3. I'm so interested with these, and I know, I mean, I own a handful of these games, of the Final Fantasy games, on my Switch already, and I just camera just went away. Can you guys still hear me okay? It looks like everything's good. I literally just saw another, like, had a little like power surge or something, but it looks like we're good. We're doing it live, so it's just how it goes. Let me know if anything sounds weird. I'm looking at the little meters. We should be good. So, okay. All right. Well, that's good. Okay. Getting into like our little mini topic, and it's kind of relevant because I just 100%ed, I just 100%ed Mario Wonder last night, and it was awesome. Like, if you guys want to see the clips, it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube. I told chat, I said, okay, I put out a video where I completed the final stage, the final test in my first go. Like, it took me about 15 minutes, but I had a ton of help from online players, right? It felt cheesed. And so I told chat, I said, okay, we're going to do this live. And I said the stipulation is no Yoshi, no Nabbit, because they don't take damage from certain items. They can obviously fall in pits, or the lava will still kill them. But I got to play as Mario, and I can't have any help, no standees, anything like that. And so we went about 2 hours last night, and I got all the way back through it. I got all the way through it, and ended up making it through. But then I got the coins, but I didn't hit the top of the flag. And chat allowed me to use assist if, and I almost made it a second time on the invisible part, because it's tough. It's tough. And then there was literally nobody around. There was a Toadette, and then I had to go back because the Toadette tried to save me at the last second and didn't. I got back to the final stage, fell, and it didn't give me the game over, or not the game over, but like the death screen or whatever. That Toadette left a standee there, and so I was able to do it. Hit the flag, 100% at Odyssey. It was a great moment, like super fun, and so I saw this article today, and it's just an opinion piece on Nintendo Life, and it says, my daughter made me realize that Mario Wonder's difficulty options need work. So, and before we jump into it all the way, I want to grab a comment from Cryptic here, and I see CC is mocking me for when I said I just. Okay, I wonder if the mic glitched out. Maybe if you guys heard that, let me know. But Cryptic says it's crazy. We grew up with these creators, and now we're going to see them. Now we're going to start seeing Final Fantasy creators retire. Miyamoto soon, I bet. I mean, Miyamoto is up there in age for sure, so it's very possible. But back into this opinion piece about the difficulty, and it's the reason I want to chat about it is kind of twofold. The difficulty in the final test is somewhat insane. There was actually a mom and a son in my stream that I was trying to help, but wasn't able to. And so M just said, you made Wonder look so easy. I mean, it was like probably 9.5 hours of doing those stages, of doing that stage over and over again. So, once I finally got the hang of it, but yeah, it was a tricky go at first. So here's from the article. It says, I suspect many of my fellow parents can relate to this, but when you have your first child, a whole bevy of problems that never existed before are suddenly thrust upon you. Do we have enough nappies? Oh God, we missed the potty again. No, you sit here, Daddy. My Peppa Pig toy is sitting there. I can totally relate with this stuff, by the way. I literally have Gwen Stacy running through the house right now, and she's 3. So, granted, a lot of these aren't necessarily problems as such, rather minor inconveniences that, along with frequent moments of unbridled joy, make up the weird and wonderful world of parenthood. I do, however, had a bit of a bone to pick with Nintendo, specifically with its approach to game difficulty in the last mainline Mario, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Now, on the surface, I would say that Wonder did a great job offering these accessibility options and making things easier. But then I read this, and I can see how they may have had it better in early games. So, continuing with the article here, it says, and I'm just going to jump into the quotes here. So, this is dad talking to daughter. So now listen, if you go for one of these characters, the game will be a bit easier for you and you'll have a lot more fun. I want Princess Peach though. Well, that might be a bit trickier. If you go for the purple rabbit, it'll be better. No, Princess Peach. Okay. So I get it. And then underneath it says, you'll play as Nabbit and you'll like it. It's a very dad thing to say. And so If you remember the developer talking about Wonder, he's like, yo, I want the inclusion of Peach and Daisy, and because my daughters very much wanted to play as these characters, and that's great, especially if his daughters are older. But if you're jumping in with younger kids and they want to be Peach, well, it's going to make the game a little more difficult. Now, they did offer the option to allow, he could have played as Yoshi, and in difficult sequences said, hey, jump on my back and I will carry you through these more difficult areas. As a father who played New Super Mario Brothers Wii with his daughters religiously, like I've mentioned it on here before, I walked through the door coming home from work and immediately had Wii remotes thrust into my hand and couldn't even change out of work clothes. They were just like, we're playing now. And they always wanted to do World 1-1 because they could thrive there. And I drug them all the way to World 8, but eventually they'd be like, back to 1, please. And so I'd have to take them back to 1. Now, as we would get later in the game, I would have to tell them, bubble. Okay, go ahead and bubble. But eventually that's not as much fun for them. What Nintendo has done in past games, for instance, Mario 3D Land and even Mario 3D World, they offered an item that would essentially give you the same powers that Nabbit had. It would almost give you like star powers. It was like a white Tanuki suit. And I do wonder if that is a better option. And also, the reason I think it's a better option, and it's not that I don't think that Yoshi should be playable, but I love Yoshi being one of the power-ups in Mario games, right? Like I want to be able to hop on Yoshi's back and, like that's what the reason I love Super Mario Brothers Galaxy 2 more than the first game is a lot of it is simply Yoshi. The fact that you could ride on Yoshi's back, and it took me back to the days of Super Mario World, and Super Mario World was so hyped because you could finally ride a dinosaur. Like Mario was riding a dinosaur. It was epic. And the way they implemented in Wonder, like, yes, it's there, but it's not the way I personally would like it, And so if they just allowed for this, like this power up to happen if you died too many times, or even to just have a switch, a slider that's like, yo, I need this to be more accessible. Or I need the cheat or whatever, however they word it, that's not really all that relevant. Then it allows for any character to be played, because you don't want to take, I think my daughters had to play as Toads and Luigi and stuff. I don't think Peach was even available in the Wii New Super Mario Brothers, but if they see Peach in Super Mario movie and she wants to play as Peach, you got to make it happen. You got to make it happen. And if it's too difficult because there's easier characters for them to play, yeah, I could see just like making a few simple changes and allowing any character to have the same abilities as Nabbit and or Yoshi going forward with new games. Now, the flip side of it, after completing final test last night, I want to see much harder levels from Wonder. And I think Nintendo dabbled with this a little bit when they did New Super Luigi U, where it was like, you've got 99 seconds to get to the end of the stage. Like they were kind of adding that anxiety to the timer changing. It was almost like hitting the third lap in Mario Kart, and being able to, basically have to run. I love that. Now, that being said, I love how, I guess for lack of a better term, just empowering it feels to be able to slide through or like glide through, or like M said, you made it look easy. When you get to that point where you learn the levels well enough that you can just kind of almost start to speed run through them. And there's something very, very satisfying about that. That is peak Mario design for me. I know that may not be the case for everybody, right? I don't think everybody has the patience to to do levels over and over and over again until you can really really get good at them. Like I know that the it's not always going to be a dopamine hit for everybody, but it really is for me. And I know there's like a whole Kaizo community and that kind of stuff. I don't know that the levels need to be like Kaizo difficulty, but everything minus the invisible badge, like chef's kiss, where like, once you get it down and you can run through that without taking any damage, it's fun to watch. Like it's exciting to watch. And the few, as I've dabbled in Kaizo just a little bit in Mario Maker 1 and 2 and pulling off shell jumps and doing some of those things, a lot of fun to the point that like, and I'll put this out here for the podcast listeners, I'm somewhat recruiting Mario Maker creators right now, because what I want to do is build a Super Mario Brothers 2. So using the first game skin, create levels that are similar to the final stage. So difficult, but also not impossible. And I want to try to create as many stages as if we could fill a world. Now, granted, we can't really do that together. I'll end up having to just put a post on n64josh.com that would lay out every level. But if this is something that you're possibly interested in, hit me up in Discord and let me know, because I started creating the first stage yesterday. And I want to focus on creating stages that are fun, but also something that are very similar to that final test, where it's like it is difficult, but they do such a great job in the game design of showing you when you see coins mean jump, right? Like I'm going to do a video maybe Friday about Super Mario Brothers and just the level design of 1-1 and how it is like literally a clinic on game design and how the game teaches you through no tutorial whatsoever how to play it. And it's literally chef's kiss. So, and like Cryptic said, it just shows how good Nintendo is at game development. Hard balance they have to do to make things not too easy, but also not too difficult. And this is a great point. And I said this a lot with Mario Odyssey. Like they created a game in Odyssey that a very young audience could play, and a much older audience like myself could have a really, really good time with. And that's not something that's easy to do. Yet they continue to pull it off. They also got into like the dark side and the darker side of the moon in Odyssey, which that's one of the things I want to start doing on stream, is get into those levels because they seem very fun. And, but after playing the final test, I would love to see an entire world similar to I think they call it, is it Champions Road on Super Mario 3D World? I think that's what it was called. And so they've kind of done this stuff in the past, but like I would have loved to see Wonder get more of those stages. Maybe an entire world full of like 5-star difficulty or whatever the max star difficulty was. And but because they have Yoshi, because they have Nabbit, or if they incorporate some of these, like I even mentioned, like throw in a P-Wing. If you guys played Super Mario Brothers 3, the P-Wing was an item that you would use at the beginning of a stage, and you basically had infinite flight through the level. And I remember using these to get through World 8 and things like that. And so they're like, Nintendo's been doing this kind of stuff forever. So if they needed to, if there's people that are like, yo, I don't want to learn this level, I just want to get through it. Okay, here's a P-Wing. Here's a way to allow you to kind of skip this. So I see Sunshine is here. What's going on? Welcome on in. And so I really do hope that we see more in the form of like difficult yet very rewarding levels when it comes to 2D Marios. And I do hope to see more accessibility options similar to what this article is talking about for, younger kids. If, they want to play as Peach, make Peach invincible. just to make it easier on everybody. Okay, this is the last topic of the day. The kind of the main topic, the thumbnail topic, is our top video games of 2024, highest selling games of 2024. And yeah, Jexy is saying P-Wing on that one tank level on World 8 and Super Mario Brothers 3. Yes. Yep. You know. So top selling games. I'm going to give you guys a quick spoiler. There are no first party Nintendo games on this list. Okay. Nothing first party. You've got mainline titles on here. Okay. You've got the MVP bundle from EA, which is, I believe, Madden and the new college football. You've got Elden Ring. Okay. You got FC 25. Now that was on Switch. It probably helped move the needle some. I'm sure it's a game they promote often, so I can only assume it does well. You got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was number 7. You got Madden 25. NBA 2K25, also on Switch. Okay. Dragon Ball Sparking 0. You got Helldivers 2, which was one of those games that was kind of like, it was exciting to see. Like I didn't get to play it. I didn't have the means to play it, but loved watching the community get very excited about gaming, right? It's like those brief moments throughout the year where like people are just enjoying themselves playing a game. And that was a fun time. Then you got College Football 25, and that game making its way back. I mean, even going through, like I was kind of doing a little bit of research, like the Reddit posts talking about the best or the highest selling games of 2024. Anytime College Football 2025 was brought up, like people love it. Like they love it. They really love it. So, and then the very top of the list, you got Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Now, I mean, I play Call of Duty. Like, I think it's fantastic. I love Madden. Like, I think they're great. They're not always games that are really pushing the limit of what they can do. But then at the same time, like Call of Duty, like the fact that it's like takes place in the 90s, it's boots on the ground. I have a great time. I just jump in and play team deathmatch. That's pretty much all I do. Maybe some domination, but for the most part, it's just team deathmatch, and I love it. Like it's fantastic. Helldivers looks like something I would have a great time with. Again, the hype for it has obviously died down. Elden Ring is a series that I really want to get into. And Dragon Ball's probably not something I'm gonna play. NBA 2K 25 again. FC 25 no. But I do enjoy Madden. And so my question for chat and for anybody listening after the fact, you can leave your comments as well. When these games, which we can only assume are going to be making their way to Switch 2, will you guys be picking them up? Like, are these titles that you would pick up on your Switch 2 over your PS5, your Xbox, or your PC? Because I feel like when it comes to some of these games, you want them running at the highest FPS. You want them running at the best resolution. And so I know for me personally, I could see Elden Ring being a game that I play on Switch 2, as long as we got to see how these things run. We're assuming everything's going to run pretty smoothly. So I could see Elden Ring, a game that I haven't tried yet. I don't own anywhere. Probably going to have a little bit of a Switch tax, I would assume, right? Because you're talking about it being brand new on that system, and you might be able to find it a little bit cheaper elsewhere. But I would still pay that tax just to be able to play it handheld if I wanted to. I can tell you that Madden, I would love to be able to play handheld. Like that's one that I would play on the regular. Like I love Madden. I've always loved Madden. I just haven't played it in many years. So looking at the chat here, Leo says I would get Black Ops 6. There we go. Rami says, in my case, I would if it's on a card, but sounds unlikely, right? Due to size. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily, because of the technology that Nintendo has incorporated. We've talked about it quite a bit about this like DLSS technology and how they can compress games or basically the games can be much smaller and lower resolution, but the tech will actually bring the resolution up. So you could take some of these games, put them on the Switch at 540, like 540p, and then have it up convert to 1080, or have them on the Switch at 1080 and then have them up convert to 4K through the DLSS. So I do assume also that we are going to have bigger game carts, especially with moving into the next generation. The Switch is currently at 32, but like The Witcher, I think was one of the few games that actually took advantage of that. They're more than likely going to have larger game carts. There's a very real possibility that every one of these games coming to Switch 2 is going to cost $70. So keep that in mind. And so it does seem like, and not to mention on the other side of it, you've got probably 256 gigs of space in the Switch, I think is what the leaks have said. You can also add like extreme SD cards that are doing very fast read and write speeds that will allow these kind of games to run. So you'll have space that way also. And Rami says I would buy some of those physical then. So yeah, there you go. Cryptic says a lot of these games are live service minus a few. Maybe the future is have 24/7 support. Yes, I've been waiting to play Madden on Nintendo for the longest. Sports games are my local franchise machines. So yeah, and that's also true. I mean, Call of Duty is very like, you're buying the game and then buying a battle pass if you're playing multiplayer. Like they're getting away with it, if you will, So, and I mean, a lot of these games have microtransactions of some kind. I think Elden Ring's probably the only one here that's a very traditional style game that's like, and maybe Helldivers, I guess, that are like, here's the game, DLC, could be coming out as well. And so that's kind of it. But yeah, a lot of these are very close to live service at this point. Taking a look, Jexy says, I feel like games like COD or Helldivers would be digital instead of physical. And I mean, if it was coming to regular Switch, it'd all be cloud, right? But it's going to be interesting come April when we find out like what kind of third-party support, like what games are coming, and how crazy is this going to be? There's a very real chance that we don't see mainline Call of Duty on the Switch. We see mobile. It could happen. It could happen. M says you don't just want to complete it too fast, but you do want to complete it. Of course, exactly. Looking at Rami also says Fortnite in a card with all of the future updates. Yeah. Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. No, I mean, it's going to be a crazy time in gaming. I think Switch 2 is going to potentially change some of these lists. I think next year we do see there's a maybe not. It will depend on install base, right? If a Nintendo game can dethrone, or at the very least get onto this list, I would assume something like Breath of the Wild probably made it on the list of 2017. I would assume. We know people were buying Breath of the Wild before they even had their Switch. So that was a very real thing, right? So I know that some of the games, again, I would definitely love to see in some cases, like if there's not crossplay, being able to say, in the Discord, yo guys, we're doing a Black Ops 6 night on Switch 2. Then we can all play. Cryptic says Mario Kart definitely on the 2025 list. Yeah, like that's real. That is real for sure. So it's gonna be such a fun time as the Nintendo community getting to play with the big boys, if you will, right? And like not. We're still going to have the lesser versions of these games, I would assume, but they're going to be much more competent versions, and that excites me. I think it's going to be fantastic for Switch owners, especially if the Switch is your main and only like household console. It's going to open up the door for so much more. And it looks like there's a lot of chatter around voice chat, because what I find interesting is a lot of the YouTubers and articles and stuff that talk about the microphone built into the Switch. A lot of them go immediately to voice chat, and I'm like, guys, I'm going to DS games. Like this is Nintendo going back to the time of DS, where like your microphone became a tool in playing these games, right? Because I don't think too many of us are going to do voice chat into a handheld console and then just have people talking through the speakers. We're probably going to throw headphones on, right? Probably headphones with a mic would be my thought. And so again, it's just where my head goes when I see the mic. But if we get away from the chat app and being able to actually do voice chat, and fingers crossed for me, we would see Discord incorporated into the Switch. That would be fantastic. CC says, for speaking to my Nintendog, exactly. And M says, COD still thriving makes me happy. Yeah, Black Ops 6 is so fun. It's been. I love firing it up. I played with Cryptic and Nadine one night. Like we've jumped in, and it's a lot of fun. Like a lot of fun, especially for me who Call of Duty 2 when the Xbox 360 came out was like the smoke was life changing. Like it was so crazy to see graphics like that for the first time. And now the only thing I'll say about it is like some of the character models, like the Uncanny Valley and stuff going on with some of the character models is super, super strange. But besides that, the game is super fun. Cryptic says, sometimes I forget there's a Switch app for voice chat. Yeah, the only reason I'm constantly reminded of it is because when we're racing in Mario Kart, I periodically will see people fire it up, and I can see so-and-so join voice, right? So that's why I'm constantly reminded of it. Jexy says, I just hope they do more with Switch Online apps, like what they did with the NES and the N64. And my gut feeling is that we are going to see DS and probably potentially 3DS, maybe even GameCube. But remember, like GameCube Mario parties, you had to use a mic. Like there was a mic that plugged into your GameCube, and you could sing and do the different games with the microphone. So I think the mic is, to me, it's a sign that Nintendo is looking to get all of their first party games playable on Switch that we've seen through the years. And that really does get me excited. So, well, that is going to do it. You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out live. If you're listening after the fact, I appreciate you so very much. We got stream at 6 tonight. We're going to be doing some Mario Kart and racing Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern on TikTok and YouTube. I'm racing Mario Kart. Tuesdays, I think we're going to start doing more 2D Tuesdays. I might bust out Mario Maker. We've had a lot of fun with Wonder, so we're going to do more there. And then Thursdays we're gonna be Mario partying it up. So if you've got Mario Party Jamboree, come hang out for that. Appreciate all you guys, and we will see you in the next one. Bye now.